Hey everyone, my name is Meera. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to be reviewing the book The Flower Girls by Alice Clark-Platts. If you're in the mood for something really dark and twisted, then pick this up. This book was sent to me for review by Bloomsbury, India. When I was getting into this book, I thought it would be a normal murder mystery, but I had no idea what I was in for. The Flower Girls is about two sisters, Laurel and Rosie, who when they were young, when they were children of age 10 and 6 respectively, they get caught for the murder of a 2-year-old. That in itself is a very disturbing aspect of the plot. Laurel being the elder one, she gets put into juvenile prison, whereas Rosie being too young to be held responsible for such a crime, she and her parents get new identities so that they can relocate to a new place. They get nicknamed as the Flower Girls. 19 years later, another child goes missing, so the Flower Girls are once again brought back into the limelight. I'm really enjoying thrillers wherein we supposedly know who committed the crime, so we're following the story in reverse, trying to understand why this happened and how this crime took place. Alice Clark-Platts has done such an incredible job in weaving the story of the past and the present together. So how the plot is executed is that it starts from the present, and then we have certain flashbacks that sort of help us understand what happened 19 years back, and these flashbacks are not very direct, so there's this very haunting, very alluring tone to them. The first chapter in itself was what really creeped me out. You read that and you're gonna be like, oh my god, what the hell was that? So yeah, the narration of the story goes back and forth between the past and the present to form like this complete picture. From like the 10th chapter, I sort of had an inkling of what really transpired 19 years ago, but I wasn't sure because the author was doing a great job at keeping the mystery and the suspense still very much present in the story. There comes a point in the book where things sort of slow down, and I didn't really like that much because then I kept wondering what's gonna happen now, because one part of the plot gets resolved. So it feels like the build up towards the climax came much ahead in the novel, and I kept wondering what's gonna happen in the rest of the book. But rest assured, it doesn't get boring and you should continue reading it. Initially, we don't really read much about Laurel, and that was something I felt could have been worked on a bit more in the story to try and incorporate her side of the story as well, to really understand her thoughts and where she's coming from. Rosie's character has all of these layers to it, and you really begin to feel like she has been victimized so much that she doesn't really remember anything that happened on that day. Detective Hillier was one of the more commendable characters in this book. It is her determination to not let things go that really added to the pace of the novel, because she refuses to believe that the truth about the disappearance of this kid in the present is what it seems to be. I don't like the fact that Rosie and Laurel's parents didn't really feature much in the book. It would have been nice to read a bit about them, their upbringing, the family environment that really made Laurel and Rosie the way they are. And I didn't really like the fact that they just up and left when Laurel was caught and put in prison, because, well, she was their kid as well. Maybe she deserved like the benefit of doubt. When we begin to read about Laurel, so much more about their story becomes clear, and all of those flashbacks begin to make more sense. Themes of betrayal, child development, child abuse, psychology are all very much prevalent in this book. I would like to warn you, if reading about children being harmed is something you're extremely sensitive to, then maybe you should steer clear of this book. But it was a very engaging read for me. It was interesting to observe how human psyche has been depicted in this book, and how upbringing and all of that has a major role to play in how children turn out to be. It also paints a picture about how media tends to get way ahead of itself, and how it is this unrelenting force in shaping people's lives. It has the power to ruin people's lives. The USP of this book, without a doubt, is the fact that it portrays children as murderers, which is not something you read about a lot. And while it can be really disturbing, it was a unique plot point. I had goosebumps by the time I finished this book. That ending, the last chapter, was just insane. Even though I had anticipated something like that happening in the ending, it was very creepy to read. I like the fact that the chapters are really short in this book. I like that in thrillers, because then that helps me read a lot quicker and it keeps me glued to the book. So these short chapters range from anywhere between 2 to like 4 pages long. That's about it. so you can get a lot of reading done if you just sit down and set aside some time for this book. If you're a beginner in terms of reading books in English, then you would have to put in a bit more effort into reading this book because the author's writing style is not very simple. I would really recommend that you read this book. I rated it 3.75 out of 5 stars. So that's it for my review of The Flower Girls. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you've read this book, then let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you have not, then please pick it up and then come and let me know your thoughts about this book. What are some other psychological thrillers that you've been reading this year? I would really like to know because I have been in the mood to read a lot of thrillers nowadays. Please like, share, subscribe, click on that bell icon, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!